Dozens of planes and dozens of flying acts will be performing this weekend at Westover Air Reserve Base in Chicopee here. I'm joined right now by Lieutenant Colonel David Smith. He's the Air Show Director. Lieutenant Colonel, can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect and what preparations have gone into this?
Oh, sure, David. It's a great, exciting time for us. As you can probably hear in the background right now, the Blue Angels are practicing as we speak. They're doing one of their takeoff rolls. So we're really excited. The airplanes are starting to come in now. For the next 3 days, they'll be coming in. We have the Blue Angels, the Snowbirds coming down from Canada. In fact, the Snowbirds, I heard that if anybody who's close to the Connecticut River, right around 2 o'clock this afternoon to about 2:15, if you look out the windows or pull over and find a good parking lot, you might be able to see the Snowbirds flying up the Connecticut River right around 2 o'clock.
So what time this weekend should people show up? What can they expect to bring in and what can't they bring in?
Oh yeah, great question. Is the traffic? Let's start with the traffic. It's going to be a little bit heavier than normal, obviously in the Granby, Chicopee, and Ludlow areas. Probably about an hour of delay from the time you get to off the Mass Pike to the time you get to the show. A little bit more security right now than we had in past air shows. So bring a camera, bring some sunblock, maybe a little lawn chair would be appropriate. We ask not to bring any big backpacks just because of the security. We will be going through everybody's backpack. Some cars will be searched. Then once you get into the gates, though, you can expect to see almost 20 airplanes on the ground. Talk to the crews from the Warbirds from the World War II and all the way up to the F-22.
So I got the chance to talk with the captain of the Blue Angels, Captain Tom Frosch, and they're flying over right now. If you can get a live look up in the air, these are the Blue Angels. There's about 4 of them flying over Westover Air Reserve Base. This is just a taste of some of the acts and performing acts that you'll see this weekend. And here's what the captain had to say.
The biggest thing is teamwork. You know, the Blue Angels, most people think it's just 6 pilots. We actually have 130 people on our team. So when you come to the show and you see the entire show from beginning to end, you get to see just a tremendous demonstration of teamwork and trust.
This is going to be a big show for the entire family. Everyone is welcome to come, and there are going to be a lot of performers. There's going to be a lot of planes on the ground. First thing in the morning, try and get here early, and also remind yourself that there is going to be some travel time in between. Now, I'm going to be flying with the Sky Typers in the next half hour. I'll take you in the air and give you a look at what it looks like coming up at the 6 o'clock newscast. Live from Westover Air Reserve Base in Chicopee, David McKay, 22 News. And you also gain an understanding of the talent it takes for these pilots to carry out such difficult maneuvers. Right about here, I'm thinking, how did I end up in the back seat of this plane? And then right about here, I start to enjoy myself. The Geico Sky Typers are one of the attractions to the Great New England Air Show at Westover Air Reserve Base. I got to put on a flight suit, helmet, and parachute and climb up into the cockpit for a flight.
What you're going to see is something you've never seen before.
You're going to see something that a lot of people don't get to see, and that is another airplane right up close to you.
These SMJ-2 planes were built in 1940 to train World War II pilots, but they've still got some speed.
And if you open the hatch, you feel the wind whipping by us at 150 miles per hour.
At the same time, these planes fly in tight formation and print words or symbols in the air with smoke, otherwise known as sky typing.
We spell out messages that can be 1,500 feet tall, and they can be as long as 6 to 8 miles, depending on how complex the messages are.
One aerobatic pilot joined the group as we flew over Springfield. Without a cloud in the sky, I could see the Connecticut River and the sprawling fields of western Massachusetts. And you didn't need a message written across the sky to see the excitement people have for the Great New England Air Show. An incredible experience flying and just watching these pilots, and you can get the same sort of experience this weekend at the Great New England Air Show. Live at Westover Air Reserve Base, David McKay, 22 News. Opening up the base to the public, dozens of aerobatic performing flights and dozens of planes on the ground takes a lot of planning. And I'm joined right now by the Air Show Director, Lieutenant Colonel David Smith. He's going to say or tell us a little bit about the preparations that went into play and bring this all together.
Hi David, how are you?
Good.
We started the preparations about a year ago, with a team of about 5 or 10 of us. And we've steadily increased, and the number of people joining the team has increased to today of almost 1,000 people. We're here helping set up, receiving airplanes from all over the country, and actually from Canada too.
So if you take a look around, we've already got sort of a grandiose display around us, but after a year of planning, we're here now. What are some of the shows that people can expect tomorrow?
Well, the top line show is obviously the Navy Blue Angels. They're a world-renowned jet demonstration team, and we also have the Canadian Snowbirds coming down from Canada, which makes this an international air show. Rob Holland will be flying he's a 5-time aerobatic champion, Geico Typers, and then Sean Tucker and his Oracle airplane will also be here, along with the F-18s from Canada, F-15s. It's just an action-packed day.
And some of this action might seem absolutely impossible to some of these spectators, but 22 News reporter Kate Walsh went for a ride with the Golden Knights. You may be wondering what is and isn't allowed at the air show, lawn chairs or your camera. Lieutenant Colonel Al Lupinski is here to share with us exactly what is allowed, what can come through the front gates, and what isn't. Colonel, we're here to have fun, but what can people bring and what can't they?
Well, we're going to have a great time. Everybody can expect to go through a metal detector when they get here, and maybe be wanded with a metal detector. But you can bring your diaper bags, you can bring your small camera bags, and you can bring your purses, but no big backpacks. And anything you do bring is gonna be searched. We got great security in place. My own security forces will be working. We've got some Marines and some the state troopers will be out in full force. So we've got security in place, and we're gonna protect the public and protect the base, but we're gonna have a good time at the same time.
General rule of thumb, I guess I was hearing, if you're not going to bring it onto an airplane in general, you can't have it here. What are some other things that people really shouldn't bring?
Well, you can bring lawn chairs. Definitely don't bring knives and weapons are off limits, obviously. You can expect your cars to potentially be searched. It is a federal installation, and everything you bring on can be searched, but just no big backpacks, camera bags, small camera bags, diaper bags, things like that, and of course ladies' purses. We can't keep them out.
It's all for fun. What are people going to see tomorrow? That's what people are interested in.
Well, this is going to be an epic air show. I mean, we're one of the 1 or 2 or 3 air shows in the country that have 2 major acts. We got the Blue Angels, we got the Snowbirds from the north. We've got the Golden Knights jumping the flag in, the F-22. It's going to be an incredible show. Looking forward to seeing everybody out here. And please engage the airmen and the sailors and the soldiers on the ramp. Ask them what they do. A lot of them are your neighbors.
So the Blue Angels headlining one of these events, they're going to be performing, but they're not just here to perform. They're out in the community every day. If you look, the Blue Angels went to the Bay State Children's Hospital this morning to visit and lift the spirits of some patients that will not be able to go to the show. The pilots went room to room and met with children to hang out, shared some pictures and video of what they do, and gave some autographs to some young, possibly aspiring pilots. Blue Angels Lieutenant Commander Joe Schwartz said even making a small difference in a kid's day can make the Blue Angels team fly a little higher.
Positive response out of a kid, or maybe even inspire a future career in the military, more the better. But yeah, if it's just one kid that's smiling, that's great.
It was exciting, and we painted and talked.
Lieutenant Commander Schwartz is also the Blue Angels team doctor. He said, as far as he's concerned, the community outreach is a part of the job description and a benefit to being a Blue Angel, and that's why they've gone into this as a history as an elite team. This is the first time the Blue Angels have visited Westover, and this will be the first time that many people visit Westover as spectators. So coming up in the next couple of minutes, we'll have the history of Westover Air Reserve Base and what role it plays in protecting our nation. If you're a local, you can see the planes flying overhead. You might see the service members coming in and out of Westover Air Reserve Base, but what sort of role does it play for the rest of the nation? 22 News reporter Kate Walsh discovered just that. Tomorrow isn't just the first day of the Great New England Air Show. It's also Armed Forces Day and the 75th anniversary of Westover Air Reserve Base. It's honoring that, as well as they've been in operation since 1940. Master Sergeant Andrew Bisco is a little bit more knowledgeable of the history of the base and joins me right now to tell me a little bit about the history of for people walking onto the base tomorrow.
This is an extraordinary opportunity for the public to come on the base and see the history of this base with the airplanes up in the sky, and our most important, our people on the ground here. We're thrilled to host everybody tomorrow.
So what does an event like this mean to everyone? What sort of economic impact does it have for the entire area?
Well, it brings in a lot of people who want to see these airplanes and of course meet our people out here. But in the 2008 air show, it had a over $13 million impact, so it brings in a lot of business for people.
So what sort of acts and performances can people expect tomorrow?
It's an extraordinary day of flying. It starts about 10 o'clock, winds up about 4:30. Everything from the Blue Angels to the Canadian Snowbirds to some World War II airplanes to the latest and sharpest F-22 fighter of the Air Force.
So tomorrow people can expect to see big planes like the one behind you, but they can also expect to see some of the big performers, Blue Angels being one of them. And if you see these guys perform in midair, it's something to see, and it's absolutely spectacular. Now, riding with them in zero gravity is something completely different, and that's something 22 News reporter Caitlin Gosley got to do just that. That brings us to tonight's 22 News interactive internet poll. Do you plan on attending the Great New England Air Show this weekend? Just log on to our website, wwlp.com, and click your vote. We'll have results tonight on 22 News at 11. The weather is going to play a big role in this weekend's air show. Pilots, spectators, they're all relying upon what's going to be happening. There could be some possible rain showers. 22 News Storm Team meteorologist Brian Lapis is tracking that.
Indeed we are, David.
If you're packing up the car this morning to come to Westover Air Reserve Base, see the show and have some fun, there's a couple of things you should remember to make things go smoothly. The line is already lined up down Westover Road with servicemen and women trying to get into the base right now, and that traffic is only expected to get worse throughout this morning. Security will be provided by the Air Force, Marines, Army, and Massachusetts State Troopers. All vehicles will be subject to search. In the case of an emergency or accident, the base has set up response measures. You can bring a camera, you can bring a lawn chair, you can bring some snacks and clear containers. Remember, this is a military base and expect to be searched when entering. Don't bring anything on the base you wouldn't bring on an airplane, including knives or guns. Large backpacks and camera bags will not be allowed. No bicycles, no alcohol, no pets unless service animals. All said and done, the rules are to help everyone enjoy the show, and there will be so much for the entire family to see. Performers include the Blue Angels, including the Snowbirds and the Sky Typers. We'll have more on that in the next half hour, and in the next couple of minutes, 22 News Storm Team meteorologist Nick Bannon will have the forecast for this morning to tell you whether or not these skies will stay clear later on this afternoon. Live from Westover Air Reserve Base, David McKay, 22 News. I'm actually on the ramp of a C-5 cargo plane. This is just one of the planes on display to give you a close look of what you can see if you come to the show today with your family. I'm joined right now by Staff Sergeant Amelia Leonard. She brought her two little young ones. How old are they right now?
I have a 4-year-old and a 15-month-old.
Okay. And when you guys came this morning, what are some tips for other families when they come out and try and enjoy this show?
You know, definitely make sure that, you organize everything and that be prepared to be searched. When you're bringing snacks for your kids, make sure they're in clear containers. If you're bringing baby formula, just know that that's okay. Bring light coats for them, something that you can layer. Just, again, be prepared to be searched. Anything that you wouldn't take on an airplane, don't bring. Leave it at home.
Overall, for the family, do you think it's going to be a good show?
Oh, I think it's going to be an amazing show. This is such a huge, fun-filled, family-oriented event. There's so many planes on display, so many planes in the sky. I think your kids will have an amazing time.
And it is going to be a spectacular show. It's actually something we've never seen in this area. It's something that most air shows don't get to see. And I'm joined right now by Lieutenant Colonel James Bishop. Lieutenant Colonel, can you tell me a little bit about what this show has that most others don't?
David, this is a convergence of three main flying acts, any one of which would have been a headliner. Last time in 2012, we had no main head flying act. We had 200,000 people still coming. Now we've got the Canadian Snowbirds, we've got the Blue Angels, and we've got the F-22. It'll be an amazing show.
Thousands of people already coming out this morning trying to see these planes. And later on in the next half hour, I'll actually give you an aerial view of the airstrip and some of those planes coming up at 9:30. Live from Westover Air Reserve Base, David McKay, 22 News. We're actually about 30 feet in the air to give you an aerial look of the turnout of this event. And thousands of people have already turned up this morning to see this Great New England Air Show. I'm joined right now by one of the coordinators of this show. He actually helped with putting it all together, Lieutenant Colonel David Smith. David Smith, can you tell me a little bit about what it took? How long did it take to put this event together?
Oh, sure. Good morning. We've been working on this for over a year now. We started out with a small team, and now we're up to about 1,000 people volunteering and working the air show this weekend.
So just looking at the turnout, we've already got a couple thousand people strolling around, looking at some of these different planes. What are some of the big attractions that people can see this morning?
Well, in just a few hours, we'll start the flying performances, but right now you can go ahead and see that behind me we have the C-5, and then something that I thought was pretty special this year is the Predator, which everybody hears on the news, the unmanned vehicles or the remote piloted vehicles. And the Predator is the first time here from Westover. They came down from New York State, one of the Guard units. And that's really neat. I'm looking forward to going down and seeing that right up close myself.
An enormous show, a great turnout so far, and we're looking forward to more people coming today. Now, this show means a lot to this area economically as well as to the base. I'm joined right now by Colonel Al Lipinski. Colonel, can you tell me a little bit about what it means to the base for you?
Oh, it's awesome to welcome our community out here, to open our gates, to let the public come out here and see what we at Westover do, but not just that, to see what DOD does, the Department of Defense. We've got airmen, sailors, Marines, and sailors out here just performing, putting on great shows, standing around their airplanes and talking. And I encourage everybody to come out, visit Westover, visit the men and women of the United States that protect you, and ask them questions, engage them. A lot of them are your neighbors. A lot of them live right here locally in the Westover community.
Colonel, thank you very much. We'll be here throughout the day, on air and online at WWLP.com to tell you and bring you the latest updates of this event and tell you when you can come. Live from Westover Air Reserve Base, David McKay, 22 News. People came from far and wide to the Great New England Air Show.
I quit Montreal around 1:30 in the morning. Okay, and I drive all the night long just to be present at the air show, because it's supposed to be one of the biggest air show on the eastern side this year.
Thousands of spectators showed up to Westover Air Reserve Base.
I go to school around here, and for the past half of the week, we've just been watching them fly around and stuff.
Westover Air Reserve Base has had air shows in the past, the last about 3 years ago. But nothing quite as extreme as the Great New England Air Show.
I've never been to an air show here before, but it's pretty awesome.
Westover Air Reserve Base has been in operation since 1940.
My girls haven't been here yet, so we said, let's do this thing.
Spectators were allowed to look at different planes and even climb onto some of them.
I like to go in all the planes and check them out and see what it's like to be, in the front seat and in the back seat even.
And the biggest headlines were the Blue Angels, Snowbirds, and F-22s.
Absolutely, the Blue Angels. I love them. I've never really seen them before flying in the air. I do research all the time online. I love the Blue Angels. They're awesome.
Many spectators hadn't been to the base before, but everyone was happy to enjoy the show.
Pretty cool because you get to see all the old planes and all the new stuff.
The Great New England Air Show continues on Sunday, and many spectators 22 News spoke with said they will be coming back for everything that the show has to offer.